Another Sony versus Samsung duel, and this time it's between the Samsung S90F and the Sony BRAVIA 8 II. Both TVs come equipped with a new QD-OLED panel, but only one of the TVs have 4 full bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports that now push 4K at 144Hz, while the other TV is known for its top-notch processing. Now, which one is which? Hi, I'm Marco from Rtings.com, and I'm about to tell you all about it. I will also tell you that most of you should stick with the Samsung S90F. Wait, what? Yeah, right out of the gate, we said it. First, let's touch a bit on these two models' core design and features. Both sets arrive as razor-thin QD-OLED slabs of glass and plastic with slim metal frames. The Sony has a 2-position set of feet, while the Samsung has a center-mounted stand. Both TVs are high enough to clear a soundbar. The Sony TV has a 120Hz refresh rate on its 2 HDMI ports, while the Samsung delivers 144Hz on all 4 of its HDMI 2.1 ports. More on that later. They both have glossy screens, hands-free voice mics, and a modern Smart TV OS, Tizen on the Samsung, and Google TV on Sony. As usual, Samsung doesn't have Dolby Vision, while the Sony does, so cinephiles, take note. Alright, but how do they perform? In HDR, both TVs are actually extremely similar to each other, and as a rule of thumb, the BRAVIA hits brighter peaks, but the S90F sustains its peaks better. Still, overall, the BRAVIA has a very small edge here. Nothing you can really notice in practice, but the numbers don't lie. The Sony is a bit brighter. At least when the two sets are in their respective cinephile-focused picture modes, professional for the Sony and filmmaker mode for the Samsung. Switch to game mode, and now the Sony TV loses some of its brightness. We've seen way worse, and it does require pixel peeping to notice, but it's there. The Samsung, for its part, performs pretty much as it does in filmmaker mode, so it has the edge there. But overall, both TVs are very bright no matter the mode. You like to watch SDR content? So do we. Here, the Samsung has the slight edge. SDR content hits roughly 450 nits in real scenes and sustains 240 nits on a fully lit scene. The BRAVIA 8 II, for its part, averages about 400 nits in real scenes and settles around 210 nits on the same fully lit scene. It's a small difference, but it's one that can be noticeable in very well-lit environments. Both TVs handle reflections equally well, meaning that they really reduce the intensity of any direct reflections, and they excel when dealing with ambient sources of light, but at the cost of raised blacks in bright rooms. Yeah, we know, so far these two models are mostly the same, but buckle up, as we're about to tackle some differences. When it comes to color volume, these two TVs are mostly the same. Whether in HDR or SDR, sorry, we had to hit you with at least one more similarity. These two models are almost the same on color volume, although the Sony is just a tad bit more colorful, but it's unlikely to be noticeable in real content. But there is one area where these two TVs really differ: accuracy. Sony is known for its cinephile-oriented products, with top-notch accuracy and processing. But this TV defies that, as its pre-calibration accuracy in SDR is mediocre. There's too much blue in most shades of gray, as well as too much red. Overall, this makes the TV's color temperature too cold out of the box. Its gamma is close to the 2.2 target, but most scenes lean a bit too bright, although brighter scenes are too dark. And when it comes to color mapping, there are some significant errors in yellows, cyans, and whites. This is surprising, as this TV's predecessor, the A95L OLED, was top tier here, making this set more similar to its namesake, the Sony BRAVIA 8, not 2. As for the Samsung, that TV is just on point. Look at this. Sure, all colors are a bit too present in most shades of gray, which does make the TV's gamma too bright across its entire range, but barely so. Aside from that, the Samsung's color temperature is almost exactly what it should be, and it has very few color mapping issues. It's just extremely accurate, enough that purists could forgo calibrating it if they want to save a buck. Thankfully for Sony, it does strike back when it comes to HDR pre-calibration accuracy, as here, it's a bit better than the Samsung. The Sony is a bit too cold out of the box, as it has too much blue and lighter shades of gray, but its tone mapping is way better than the Samsung's. The S90F does have slightly better white balance accuracy, but overall, it's just as blue as the Sony, and it does have more noticeable tone mapping issues. Still, it's much closer here than these two were in SDR. Oh yes, processing! This is Sony's wheelhouse right here, and for the most part, the BRAVIA 8 II performs just as expected. It cleans up a ton of macro blocking from low bitrate content, and its upscaling performance is just second to none. But the S90F is no slouch. Well, actually, it may be slouching a little bit in low quality content, as it leaves some noticeable macro blocking in the scene. But it upscales low resolution content quite well, and its HDR native gradient handling is out of this world. Good luck noticing any banding on this TV. We dare you to find any. The Sony is amazing here too, but it can't match the Samsung's near perfection. If there's one flaw with the Samsung, is that the TV applies edge enhancement to all content, even when the sharpness slider is set to 0. It's hard to notice, and it's not as noticeable in filmmaker mode, but it's there. In gaming, this is kind of a no contest. The S90F dominates. This isn't a fair fight. The S90F has 4 full HDMI 2.1 ports, all capable of doing 4K at 144 Hz. The Sony, oh, you know what we're about to say. 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, one of which is the eARC port, and the TV is capped at 4K at 120 Hz. We almost can't stand it anymore. To make matters worse, the BRAVIA has higher input lag than the Samsung, and this is actually noticeable when gaming at 60 Hz. And on the topic of the input lag, the BRAVIA's input lag outside of game mode is above 300 milliseconds. That means that all menus on the TV, like when you're scrolling through Netflix, feel really sluggish. Overall, the Samsung feels much more responsive. It's not really close. The only advantage the Sony has over the Samsung is its Dolby Vision gaming support, but that's a high price to pay for what is otherwise an underwhelming gaming performance. We don't often talk about audio, but the Sony has a few tricks up its sleeve. It has acoustic surface actuators that give dialogue the sense of coming from the screen, and the TV speakers can act as a center channel in a matching Sony soundbar stack. So it's a cool bonus for those of you rocking a complete Sony home theater set. The Samsung doesn't have anything cool like that, which makes us a bit sad. So what is the current state of these TVs circa July 2025? Frankly, their pricing suggests that they're not in the same market, yet they are, which is confusing. Right now, a 55-inch BRAVIA 8 retails for about $2,500 in the US, while a 55-inch S90F is around $2,000 when not on sale. Yeah, you heard us. Shopping for a 65-inch model? $3,000 USD for the Sony, $2,200 for the Samsung. So not only does the S90F outperform the BRAVIA 8 II, but it leaves enough money in your wallet to buy an extremely high-end soundbar to go along with it, or a PS5 Pro, or a Nintendo Switch 2. So, which one should you buy? Well, you probably know what we're about to say. If your entertainment diet includes fast twitch shooters, HDR-heavy blockbusters, or simultaneous next-gen consoles, the Samsung S90F simply does more. Slightly brighter highlights in game mode, truer and brighter SDR straight out of the box, 4K at 144 Hz ports, lower input lag, and cleaner gradients, all for less money. The Sony BRAVIA 8 II answers with slightly better upscaling, Dolby Vision support, and Sony's S-Center audio trick, but its 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, subpar gaming performance, and worse SDR pre-calibration accuracy, all for more money than the Samsung, make it a very tough sell for almost anyone. Cinephiles who value Sony's processing polish and already own a matching sound system may accept that premium. Yet for everyone else, the S90F is the more complete mid-tier OLED package. It's an easy win for the Samsung S90F. That wraps up our comparison of the Sony BRAVIA 8 II and the Samsung S90F. Are you turned off by the Sony's high price tag? Or are you willing to pay whatever it takes to get the best image processing in the business? Let us know in the comments below. And until next time, I'm Marco from Rtings.com, where we help you find the best products for your needs.
Like what we do and want to be part of it? Good news! We're looking to hire a new lead for our display team. Don't wait and apply today. The link is in the description below.
Or are you willing? Or are you willing? Are you willing?